Welcome to Out of the Box Homeschooling Podcast. This is Dana Susan Beasley of AngelArtsBiz. Today I'm going to be talking about 5 ways to cultivate your teen entrepreneur. So let me get straight to it. So I'm going to be sharing with you these 5 ways to cultivate an entrepreneur mindset with your teen so that they can have a bright future and you can rest easy. Contrary to what you believe, a job or even college isn't necessary for every high school grad to experience success. Now, how can I say that with such confidence? Well, keep listening to find out. So the question you need to ask yourself or have your teen ask is, what is your vision? Do they have a roadmap? So here is the truth. Their future can be bright. I don't care what doom and gloom is in the news. There will always be doom and gloom in the news because that sells. But the fact is, according to Ephesians 2:10, they have been given the seeds of greatness. They are God's poem. That is what the word workmanship means in the Greek, is poema. So God has a future and a plan for them. Therefore, their future can be bright. So, we are going to be talking about how to cultivate the entrepreneur mindset, and here we go. All right, number 1, pay attention to their interests and passions. What gets your child excited? What makes their eyes light up? Now, when I think back to my childhood, my teen years, I spent a lot of time writing on my fantasy book, and I was creating timelines and ancestry charts and even a whole language. Now, fast forward to all these years later, I'm not going to say how many, and we actually started a business around live action role playing, and we are starting to do the very beginnings of writing fantasy novels. That's what I'm doing and what my nephew is doing. But here's the other deal. When my son was younger, he was stuck on the computer, and I noticed a particular video game he was playing, and that had to do with medieval sparring and fighting and that kind of thing. And because I had my own interest in Lord of the Rings and Narnia, and my nephew had the same, and we had this interest in live action role playing, that's how we came up with the idea to start this business. And now my son is 20 and he is on the staff. So that's just one way, that's one example of paying attention to their interests and passions. And also with my son Sam, he is very talented in art, and I've noticed that since he was age 7. And so now we are actually having him be my apprentice, and he's going to learn to be a graphic artist. So again, it was a matter of paying attention to his interests and passions. All right, number 2, find out what they're naturally good at. What are their God-given talents? Again, for my son, he's been drawing since age 7. He was drawing in 3D, and he can take a computer program, like an illustration program, and he can make amazing art. And one thing that he did that again goes along with the fantasy world that we're building, he learned how to make maps, these fantasy-like maps, and we actually published those maps in our curriculum that we're creating. So I knew that he was naturally good at that, and I also know that he's naturally good at design and at graphics, so that's why we made him my apprentice. So that's one thing that you need. The second thing that you need to look for is, what are they naturally good at? That might be writing, it might be art, it might be sports. There's just so many different skills and talents that people have because it's diversity, it's variety. That's what pleases God. It takes It takes everyone to make life go. And so whatever their talent is, hone in on that and nurture it. And then number 3, what does your teen like to do in their free time? Now, again, when I was young, I was spending time writing a fantasy novel and making ancestry notes and timelines and languages and all of this stuff. That's what I like to do. Now, for my son, one thing that he likes to do is he likes to map out like whole communities. And so that's why another thing that we're going to have him to do is learn 3D modeling and then help my husband, who is an architect, with that aspect of the business. So we paid attention to that, I paid attention to that, what he likes to do is in his free time, said, we can transfer that, we can channel that into learning 3D modeling, and he can help my husband's business. And then number 4, so important, give a variety of experiences. Now for me, growing up, we traveled actually all over Europe, all over America, even before I was age 5. And I can tell you that gave me a sense of confidence and a sense of wanting adventure and a sense of not being afraid of change and also not being afraid of risk. And that's what travel did for me. My husband did not grow up in a traveling family, and he is quite the opposite. He's always afraid of change and afraid of risk and that kind of thing. So giving a variety of experiences like my parents did was an amazing thing that they did for us. And that's what I've tried to do for my son. Like, we spent 2 weeks in Texas a couple years ago traveling in our RV. In fact, he had just gotten his license and he drove all the way for 2 weeks. It must have been about 1,000 miles. And he did the same last summer. We went to South Dakota. And so we do experiences. We go to museums, and I give him, well, obviously through the LARPing group he gets to experience acting. All these different experiences will help a teen figure out what they are passionate about. All right, and number 5, take advantage of the internet. This is a key way to help teens cultivate their callings and passions, or to begin to understand what their passions are, so they figure out what they're called to do in their life. So there's so many amazing resources, and of course you've got to be careful, you've got to be wise. Putting something in like coveted eyes would be a good idea. You don't want to overdo screen time. Yes, that is all true, but there are so many different advantages of the internet, and let me just explain a few places that you could learn. Udemy is a great place. If your child is interested in becoming a graphic designer, Canva is a very good place to learn about that. You can learn about so much on the internet. There's something called Shaw Academy that I get that all the time. I get their advertisements all the time, and you can basically learn anything you want to. There's, of course, Khan Academy, Khan. My son's taking a few courses through them. There's just so many opportunities. So do take advantage of the internet. And speaking of the internet, I have something that really could help you and your child develop that entrepreneurship. In fact, even start a business. So I have developed a curriculum called Your Guidebook to Growing a Family Economy, and I've also created a video course, an on-demand video course that you could take at your own pace. And you can find all that information out at growmyeconomy.com. That's growmyeconomy.com. So take a look at that, and you will definitely, your teen will have that bright future that I was talking about. And the possibilities are endless, and they are exciting. So, I hope that helps. I hope that inspires you. And again, go to growmyeconomy.com. That's a system where I teach homeschooling families to start or improve their businesses. And that's what I've used for my family. And I believe that is going to work for your whole family. All right. So again, this is Dana Susan Beasley of AngelArtsBiz. Together, may we reach new heights in our homeschooling and beyond.